So, welcome everybody. A few weeks ago, we talked about pausing, and a few of the practices that we mentioned were the stop practice and the 2 feet, one breath. And it's so important to realize that a pause is not a luxury, but rather it's a necessity. There's so much activity in our day, and that pause can be a space where we can rest in a little bit of silence and where awareness can arise and where we start to listen to the voice within that often gets drowned out in the noise of daily life. And we can ask the question, what do I need? So pausing is a way to return to ourselves, to realign, to reflect, and to remember what truly, truly matters. And you may recall a few sessions ago, we did a session on sense foraging, and we spoke about the pause as a way to return to our senses, and out of that rumination that we often find ourselves in, or that sense of overwhelm. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. And what actually happens in the brain is that when we tap into our sensory awareness, we shift from the default mode network into the salience network, which is a pathway to the task positive network, where we feel calmer, where we feel more focused. And so this is a really simple pause to do. But what we're going to talk about today too is another very simple pause, loving kindness meditation. But back to oftentimes we think that we have to have a period of time to pause. But the reality is, Jon Kabat-Zinn reminds us that small moments, many times, are really, really important. And so a pause doesn't have to be lengthy, but rather can be done in 2 or 3 minutes, even 1 minute. So we as healthcare providers and people that want to make our world better, we often spend a lot of time reaching out to other people and trying to help others. But the reality is, and we all know this intuitively, but we don't always practice it, and I'm just as guilty. In order to be giving, we need to be nurtured ourselves. And so today's practice in loving kindness, about loving kindness for our own self, is about a practice that reminds us to check in with ourselves and to do so with love. It's understandable and it's necessary sometimes to place ourselves on the back burner. But this practice of loving kindness will really help us to get back in touch with our own self and help us to kind of refill our energy tank. So it's important to understand what loving kindness is and isn't, given that in our Western world, we live in a very competitive culture. And so the idea of practicing loving kindness may feel like, I'm going to become weak, I'm going to become gullible. However, nothing could be further from the truth. Far from placing us at risk of being manipulated or abused, the fruits of loving kindness practice are an open and fearless heart with an enhanced ability to manage conflict by taking things much less personally. And a regular loving kindness practice has been shown to improve resilience and actually should be considered a source of strength. And so even though the words are so tender and loving, which we tend to associate with vulnerability, it's not the case at all. And that's, I think, what's so important to understand about this meditative practice. And in addition, loving kindness practice really challenges the conventional notions of love as being personal, being very conditional, and transactional. And so if we go back to the history of loving kindness, the Buddha, thousands of years ago, taught the benefits of loving kindness practice to monks who were having trouble concentrating when they were meditating in the forest, allegedly because of disturbances caused by tree spirits and earth devas, and they were very frightened. And so if you take a more secular perspective, you could say that the Buddha taught loving kindness to the monks to help them overcome their fear while meditating alone in the forest at the mercy of many dangers. And the rationale for the practice is that generating goodwill toward all living beings banishes fear, because loving kindness and love and fear cannot coexist. So many of us will be familiar with how feeling afraid and anxious can make you feel very vulnerable to harm, particularly if you're traveling on your own and you're away from home. And of course, those with criminal intentions look for signals of vulnerability when targeting a victim. And the Buddha taught his monks that this love and fear cannot coexist. And so the reality is that once the monks began to practice loving kindness meditation, the tree and the earth spirits were pacified and even protected them during their practice. And so scientifically, because in the Western world we rely on our scientific method, which is really good, there's reduced self-criticism when we practice loving kindness. It quietens our inner critic and makes us more self-accepting. It enhances our well-being. It increases that nerve that runs through our body called the vagus nerve. It increases vagal tone, which is a physiological marker of subjective well-being that improves the quality of life and life satisfaction. And this is a really nice benefit. It reduces cellular aging. So throw out those hope in a jar concoctions, folks, and just do loving kindness meditation. But excuse me, this is the case actually for all meditation. But it has been found that loving kindness meditation buffer the telomere shortening associated with cellular aging, and it reduces pain. So pilot studies on patients with chronic back pain and migraine showed that when they practiced loving kindness meditation for brief periods, the participants experienced a reduction in pain symptoms and accomplished their daily tasks with more ease and comfort. And another really important benefit is there's greater resilience. A study of patients with long-term post-traumatic stress disorder showed that engaging in compassion and self-love meditations reduce trauma symptoms and flashbacks. There's improvement in relationships. It goes without saying. If you're wishing other people well and happiness and good health, you're going to feel more kindly towards them. And there's improved mental health. So the research into the impact of loving kindness meditation on major mental health disorders is still in its infancy, as is a lot of our meditation research. But preliminary findings have reported a reduction in rumination and negative affect in patients that have been diagnosed with depression. So another reminder of the importance of loving kindness and of taking a pause comes from Matthew Hepburn, who's one of the teachers on the 10% Happier meditation app. And Matthew's suggestion is that if the whole world is burning down, and today it can often feel that way, the best thing that you can do is grab a bucket and start putting out the fire right around you. And so we have an opportunity in this world of chaos that we're living in right now to rise to the level of influence that we do have in that world, and that means right around us. And meditation and taking a pause wakes us up out of being on automatic pilot, which research shows that almost half of the time we're on automatic pilot. And so this offers us the opportunity to wake up out of that autopilot mode and to really understand that we can influence the world that is around us, that we have a way to live that aligns with our own words, our own values, and our actions will show that to the world. And of course, this comes with a deep understanding of our own selves, and that's what we learn through our meditation practice. What causes us to be helpful and kind, and what causes us to shut down, to disconnect, and at worst, throw gas on the fire. So again, Matthew reminds us that do not discount the value of having a positive effect in our own little sphere of influence. And do not discount the value of the pauses that you can take throughout the day. If you could take 3 2-minute pauses throughout the day in the midst of chaos, not waiting for the right time to come along, but rather saying, I'm just going to take a few breaths. I'm going to feel my feet on the ground. I'm going to take a few breaths. Notice what a difference that might make. So I challenge you to, over this next while, and over the period of time that we're on break, because as I mentioned in my email today, Mount Sinai Calm will be breaking from Memorial Day through to Labor Day. And so we'll have a really prolonged period to practice. And in my next weekly email that I send next Tuesday, I'll include the link to the recordings that we've been doing. So that you can watch those recordings. On Tuesday at 1 o'clock, you can take your break and you can watch one of the recordings. So you can keep your practice up over the summer. So we're going to do the loving kindness practice for our own self. And for those who would love to research loving kindness in greater depths, Sharon Salzberg is a wonderful resource. This type of meditation really led her to realize that she didn't have to look outside of herself for love. She could really love herself in a powerful way. And in that way, as we learn to love our own self, we shine to the rest of the world. We become more loving to them, and they in turn to us. And so she has many books, and you can just Google Sharon Salzberg, which is Sharon and then Salzberg. But loving kindness for ourselves, Sharon says, is a really powerful way to deepen our inner strength. If we grow this sense of self-respect, and this is a really important point, it will allow us to draw boundaries, to respond to unfair treatment, and to join with others in a sense of common cause. And again, I'll repeat that, it's so important. It allows us to draw boundaries, to respond to unfair treatment, and to join with others in a sense of common cause. And we as healthcare providers want all beings to be safe, to be happy, and to be free. And the core of being able to take action is that we, as a human being, do not feel diminished or unworthy. And so feeling this sense of strength, this sense of boundary, is really important in the work that we do. So, and I can tell you from working with clients and patients, they have told me exactly that after doing this meditation for not even that, I would say, 6 weeks or so, they have come back and told me stories that they were able to hold their boundary with somebody that previously had really been somebody that made them feel so vulnerable and uneasy. And they were able to be in that situation in a much different, healthier way. So let's begin the meditation. So before we begin, we establish our anchors and just take a look around the space that you're in. And we're just going to look for what are the colors in this space. You might pick a particular color like red and look around and see everything that you can see that's red in your space. And knowing that if you become overwhelmed, you can simply open your eyes and you can remind yourself, I'm in this space right now. And then shifting from sight to sound. And just hearing, you can close your eyes if you like, or shift them downward. And then simply hearing, what are the sounds in your environment right now? Just noting the rhythm, the pitch, the consistency. Is it constant? Is it intermittent? And how they merge together. And I'm going to ring the bell 3 times and simply allow the sound of the bell to merge with the other sounds within your environment. And so knowing that your sense of hearing can be a reliable anchor throughout this meditation. If your mind is overwhelmed or it's wandering a lot. And then shifting to our sense of touch, noticing what parts of our body are touching another surface. Your feet to the floor, to the ground and to the earth, offering the stability of Mother Earth. Noticing the touch point of your body to the chair. And now bringing awareness to your arms and notice what they're resting on. Perhaps against your torso. And your hands, are they resting on each other or on your legs? Just feeling into that touch. Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Bringing curiosity. What am I noticing? And then see if you can notice how the air in the room touches your skin. Where is that apparent to you? And notice how the air touches your nostrils as your body draws it inward to breathe you. And begin to feel the breath. Wherever it's most apparent to you. And so our sense of touch and our breath are both reliable anchors as well. And this isn't a practice where we strive to make something happen, but rather we just get in touch with that spaciousness within us that can be found when we pause, when we take a break, when we take a breath. It's so simple. And we'll begin by actively taking delight in our own goodness. Think of a good quality that is alive within you. It may be very small, but bring it to mind now. And we do this not to be egotistical or conceited, but to bring our attention to goodness that is within each of us. Feeling that quality alive within you. And then bringing attention to phrases or wishes that we wish most deeply for ourselves, not just for today, but every single day, in a very enduring way. And of course, this is what we wish for all beings everywhere. And so we'll use traditional phrases. I'll say the phrase, and you can repeat it to yourself silently afterwards. But you can create your own your own phrases as well. May I live in safety. May I be safe. May I have mental happiness, peace, and joy. May I have physical happiness, good health, freedom from pain. And may I live with ease, meaning the elements of daily life, family, work, go easily and not be a struggle. May I be safe. May I have mental happiness. May I have physical happiness. May I live with ease. Your mind will wander, and just very kindly bringing it back to the phrases as we say them. And you can imagine as you say the phrase that you're planting a seed in the ground and allowing it to grow, to flourish. May I be safe. May I have mental happiness. May I have physical happiness. May I live with ease. And just opening your heart to these phrases, allowing enough space between the phrases and enough silence so that the phrases really seem to be emerging from your heart. And sometimes people like to even place their hand over their heart as they make these wishes for themselves. May I be safe. May I have mental happiness. May I have physical happiness. May I live with ease. And I'm going to invite you to visualize yourself sitting in the center of a circle. And you can imagine that you're sitting in a beautiful open field. The smell of the outdoors is with you. And in that circle are the most loving beings you have encountered in this life. Some you may never have met, but in your mind they're a loving person. It could be a religious figure or a literary figure. They could be somebody who exists in current time or has existed historically, but it's a circle of loving energy. And you can feel the flow of love coming from their heart directly to your heart. You are in the center. and just sit with the experience of being in the center of that quality of caring. As you gently stay in touch and repeat the phrases of loving kindness for your own self. May I be safe. May I have mental happiness. May I have physical happiness. May I live with ease. And you may notice many emotions arise. You may feel joyful or grateful, or you may feel rather that you wish that they would direct their loving kindness to somebody else, forgetting about you. Whatever emotion it is, you can allow it to come, feel it in your body, and let it pass as if it were washing through you. The touchstone is a repetition of the phrases. May I be safe. May I have mental happiness. May I have physical happiness. And may I live with ease. It is said that we can search the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of our love and affection than we are ourselves. And we won't find that person anywhere. We ourselves deserve our own love and affection. So as you receive the energy coming towards you from this circle, be in touch with that truth. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to be safe, just as all beings do. And to close, let go of the visualization. Dissolve the circle. And know that for all the time that we might spend judging ourselves or putting ourselves down, we are recapturing that energy, that force, and allowing it to fill our being. And this practice can be done anywhere in as short a period of time as you might be able to take. This can be your pause. As you pause during your day, may I be safe. May I have mental happiness. May I have physical happiness. And may I live with ease. And as we practice, we can see how developing this greater self-respect and loving kindness towards our own selves is a doorway to deepening our own strength, so we can care for others and for the world.